Welcome to West Coast Wednesday here on Prospectors Radio with Kathleen Biffle, Rich Cooley, Scott Swiftwater Toney, Indiana Gold Hunter Dennis Dayton, and your host, Tim Grimes. We hope you enjoy the show, and thanks again for listening.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another West Coast Wednesday right here on Prospector Radio. I'm your host, Tim Grimes. Joining me tonight, as always, we got Rich Cooley, Scott Swiftwater Toney, and guess who's back? Kathleen and Shad Biffle's back. What's going on, guys?
Hey, everybody.
How are ya?
Missed everyone.
Oh, we missed you. That's for sure. It wasn't the same around here. You know what I mean?
Oh, my gosh. We just got back yesterday evening, and we slept for like 14 hours.
Holy cow. Man.
Very, very hardworking dredgers up there.
Wait a minute. You just got home yesterday.
Yep.
And you slept for 14 hours. Now, was that because you were just getting back to having some nighttime where you've had 24 hours of daylight? Is that why you slept so long?
Both.
Well,
Okay.
you got to think, it's a 4-hour time difference, you know.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You know,
Forgot
East
about
Coasters, we're 4 hours in the future.
Right.
And then, of course, we spent, you know, traveling back is a 2-day adventure, you know, because first day was, you know, the boat ride and then a 6-hour bus ride, you know, back to Fairbanks. And then our flight didn't leave until 1 in the morning, so it's not like you could fall asleep.
Oh, geez, okay.
Except at the airport, you know. 'Cause we didn't get into Fairbanks until late evening.
Right.
And then, of course, you got all your flights, and you don't sleep well on planes. I tried not to sleep on the first flight, and then, yeah, by the time we got back into Columbus was like 5:30 yesterday evening, and then home around 6:30.
Mm-hmm.
So we were a bit tired.
I bet you were tired. How'd you sleep while you were gone? Did you sleep all right, or?
Oh yeah.
Did you?
I mean, yeah, because like this year. The camp, you know, before they had the 8x8 blackout tents, but they're getting kind of old. And this year they tried something new. They built like half hooches. They were 10x10s out of wood, and then they covered it with really thick black plastic, you know, wrap basically.
Okay.
To block out the
sun because they can't build permanent structures out there. It has to be all dismantled in the winter. They can't have fixed roofs on things. So,
okay.
Oh yeah, it was completely black in there and dark when you went in there and had the things down so you couldn't see outside.
Right. But you slept okay, you know.
Oh yeah, I
No
mean
problems.
we got chilly a few
Yeah.
nights. It got in the 30s.
They have little heaters in the hooches.
Oh, they
Yeah.
did? Okay.
We ran them usually when we were going to bed and then turned them off, and then we ran them in the morning if we woke up freezing
Right.
for a few minutes.
Any wildlife come scratching around?
Oh, yeah,
caribou.
we did.
Oh, really? Caribou?
We saw. Well, we didn't see this happen, but there was a black bear that chased a caribou that later got its hands on the caribou.
Oh, geez.
Right by where two guys were prospecting
Okay.
further down part of our group. And then
Eagle.
we saw bald eagles like crazy, which was awesome.
Nice.
Crazy ravens screaming like it. Another caribou did go right by our hooch into the creek and came up the creek, and I flew the drone.
I lost you, went complete silent when you said I launched the drone.
Oh yeah, I got like 5 feet in front of the caribou, and he stopped and just looked at it.
Really?
Yeah, he couldn't figure out what it was. It was pretty cool though,
That'll be cool footage.
harassed him. And then we found grizzly prints right where one of the
Yeah.
spots where we first prospected the first 2.5 days.
Really?
And I walked back down there.
It was where I went to go pee.
It was right where Kathleen would pee.
Oh.
It was massive prints. And then another day we saw wolf prints, which the wolves up there are so elusive.
Right.
But some big honking prints.
Wow. That is cool, though.
Yeah. So you were surrounded by the wild.
You were, but no close encounters. So,
No.
So that's good. Okay, so then.
I was going to say, you got to think them wolves are up there eating caribou. They're eating high on the hog.
Yeah, they're eating good when they score.
Yeah, food is plentiful right now, so you don't have to. They said you don't have to worry about the bears coming down from the mountain because they'll stay up high.
Right.
They'll eat blueberries and all that good stuff.
Nice.
But in a couple months, things will change.
Yeah.
But they did say every year they can tell if all the animals, if food's been good for all of them, because you will see a lot of moose with 2 babies. And when you see them with twins or, every great rarity of 3, the previous year food was abundant and everything was really good.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's a good indicator, they say. And, yep, you don't have to freak out as much.
Oh, that's good.
It's pretty good, yeah. There's plenty of food to go around.
Okay, so you got there, and you got to look for some gold. Now, what kind of equipment was you using, Shad, Kathleen?
Well, we had 6-inch dredges is what we were running primarily. I think it was the Keen dredges.
Uh-huh.
Exact brands, but yeah, out of our group of 8, there's 4 dredges running in different spots. Out for your own gold per group, per crew.
Okay.
And then to clean up, we ran gold cubes, the Keen. I forget what it's called. It's like a cleanup sluice.
Right.
But we classified a lot, and then Kathleen got excited after a few days. They brought out that they had a
They
Martin
never
table.
used the Martin table, and I guess Morgan and I were the first ones to ever use it. And but that's a lot of gold to be up here in Ohio. We're like, okay, you're gonna get a couple grams, it's okay.
Right.
But when you're doing like a half ounce in a night, it's a lot of work on that water table.
We learned the trick towards the end was because the first couple nights,
it took forever.
I panned it all down and cleaned it, and that took a while, and I learned some new techniques from some of the others, which was pretty cool.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, the way towards the end we learned was I would go through and just kind of pan it down and snuffer it even with black sands, but get it partially clean.
Right.
Because you can do that pretty quick.
Sure.
And then we would just dump out the snuffer every so often, and Kathleen would be able to separate it really good to get it nice and clean on the market table.
Okay.
And then we'd dry it out right away and weigh it and see how we did for the day and know if we're still on it, if we need to move or change direction.
Uh-huh. Now, how many times did you guys change spots while you were there?
Just once.
Just once, okay.
Yeah, we were the first few days. We got first half day was just under 4 grams, and the next one was about 7. But the water levels dropped so much, and we were washing.
Yeah, we were.
It was hard getting material, and bedrock was really shallow. So we moved, and at that point we hit a good spot that hadn't been touched in a long time, and we just worked it. We were still mostly long arming a 6-inch dredge the whole time because of the water level.
That is a lot of work.
That would be, yeah.
Especially when you're used to a 2-inch.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, I thought for sure you guys would be like underwater, and,
We did too, and we could have went out more in the middle, but when you're on
good gold,
you don't want to move until it runs out.
Right. Sure.
It's harder work.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot exhausting. Tore up our hands. I mean, we both have cuts.
We have
and
some
bruises.
injuries.
Yeah.
Let's just say that. Shad broke his pinky on a rock.
I saved our life, though.
He did. A rock was getting ready to fall on me, and he did.
I stuck my hand out and stopped it.
Aw, Shad's
He was
hero.
a good tender.
That's right.
And then I was running to the dredge for some reason or another to shut it off, and I lost my balance, and I slipped, and I guess what I grabbed onto?
The hot exhaust pipe.
The hot exhaust pipe for the hot water heater, and it burnt my hand.
Oh, jeez.
So I had like a 1st-degree burn after the 3rd day.
Oh, man.
Lucky for us, there was a nurse there who was her and her husband actually dredge in Illinois, and they came on the trip. And she happens to be a registered nurse and as her day job, so she had, all of the stuff I needed to get better, and it healed quite nicely.
Oh, well, that's good.
But I kept trudging. Don't get me wrong.
Well, the cold water really helped her, but
yeah, it did.
She didn't just put part of her hand. She took her gloves off, and she actually grabbed on it. So you got to think it's
wrapped her
base
hand
of her
around
palm, her whole palm, and her fingers all got burnt bad, and she just kept working.
Ow.
That's the same thing Lisa did. I told her to start the engine one day, and she bent over and leaned down and put her hand right on the Honda exhaust. I was like, oh, my gosh.
That's just brutal.
Hurt.
Yeah, that's brutal, you guys. Dang, that would hurt. Mercy. So you had a little injury, but that's okay. All good still. Got on some gold. You guys were there for how long, was it?
2-week trip.
2 weeks, right?
In there, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In the bush.
In the bush. But I know we was talking pre-show. It's like after you go on a trip like that and experience that kind of gold, how do you come back to the gold we get?
I think I'm ruined.
I do too. I think you are.
That's what happens.
You know? And that's
like I said, I can't even for me to go back panning and sluicing, it drives me nuts.
Sure, it would. You know,
I will still go out just to be outdoors, but it'll be hard to go through the trouble that we do.
Well, we have a plan, like we were talking pre-show, that the days or weekends that we normally go out, we're going to, we'll still maybe go camping, still prospect, obviously, time to time regardless. But as far as our all-out little trips here in the Midwest, we're going to take that money and just put it in a little bin.
Right.
Or, jar, and just use it for bigger trips to go on.
Yeah.
Right, I gotcha. Now, wait a minute. Before we go any further, people are saying they can't hear me.
You are a little low.
Oh my God,
Tim, you gotta make sure you stay at the mic.
I'm buried in the microphone and I'm yelling practically.
It wasn't just a couple, 25 seconds ago, because you faded away.
Really? I must have moved for a split second. How's that? That ain't better?
I think you sound good.
Yeah, I know. I can hear you guys great. And a couple times I move over, a little bit like that when I got to type something to somebody in the chat room, but but I just turned the gain up a little bit, so you might hear that little bit of static, but at least they can hear me. So, okay, back to the trip. Back to the trip. Take me back to Alaska. So, you guys are going to just start saying, we're going to save this money and just go on this trip again because, you're not going to, I know you're not going to stop dredging here and stuff like that. You're still going to do that. You love it. You love camping. You love looking for gold. And you never know. You might get on a nice hot spot here. But it's got to be tough after a 2-week trip like that and to look at the gold you was getting when you come home and you pull back the pan, it's going to be like, wait a minute.
You definitely feel spoiled, but you also got to think of the reality. It's like, okay, where we were at, one, it's a hell of a thing to get to.
Right, right.
Everybody on that river, because there's other miners up and down that river, and it's kind of funny. You have to, have an airboat to work up there.
Okay.
And so it's not you could probably find some ground up there and claim it, but it'd be the amount of logistics that go into it up there is insane.
Yeah, I could imagine.
There's no stores to go to when you run out of something.
You just can't go get 5 gallons of gas.
No,
right.
It's barrels of gas. It's a day trip when they had to go. Because, they're powering generators. Obviously, the boats, the jet water hovercraft boat, all the dredges. There are so many giant 55-gallon drums full of fuel, and they took I think 6 of them one day, and they were gone most of the day to drive to the nearest town to get. Fill them back up.
Sure.
Did you guys take any puddle jumper planes or anything like that?
Oh no. We flew commercial right into Fairbanks, and this year they bought one of an airport shuttle bus type of thing.
Yeah.
So that way they can pick everybody up from there and drive them out. to Chicken, and then they take, boats and hovercraft to get to the camp. So yeah, there are puddle jumpers we saw where you can take them from like Fairbanks and get pretty close to the Toke, which is the biggest town near Chicken, about an hour or so away from Chicken, and then, but money wise, I mean, it's not worth it. They can
right.
You sit in the bus for 6 hours.
It was a 6-hour drive from Fairbanks.
Yeah, that's a long drive too. I mean,
and then when you got there, you were on an hour airboat ride to camp.
wow.
That's to wake you up.
Oh God! When we were leaving, it's early in the morning. It's still cold. The sun's still trying to warm life up there, and whew. It was, and by then, after 2 weeks of being on it, the excitement of being on the hovercraft and all that wore off, and you're just like,
yeah, then you're freezing.
Yeah, you're freezing.
You're freezing.
Get me out of here. Get me back to civilization.
Yeah, I bet. See, but still, okay. So
worth it though.
You're gonna do it again. I know that.
Yeah. We gotta give a shout out, obviously, to Gold Fever Prospecting, Matt and Ginger Fontes that run it, and then they have their 2 little boys that are up there during the summer, and then John, I can't remember his last name, but he works up there and helps out a lot, with the guests, but also Ratliff, who operates their 10-inch dredge too. Awesome group of people. Any problem, they're there to help you. They want you to be happy and find some gold, and it's a great group of people, and I guess the improvements they already did from last year to the camp is just amazing. I mean, you got to take hot showers every other day up there. So
every other day?
Yeah, well, you could have done it every day, but why?
But no need.
You're in the water, really.
You're
why?
in the water all day. So it's fine.
You had a hot chow for breakfast and dinners. They would put out the stuff. We packed our own lunches from the food they had, and
Yeah, because once you leave, you don't come back till the end of the day.
Unless you want to walk or
float,
walk upstream or hike overland to get to where you are.
They take you out in the UTVs and drop you off then?
Just the airboat.
There's the airboat. The
airboat.
The only way to travel. The
There's
Tundra is not accessible with paths to ride, anything like that, and the rivers too.
Yeah, but you guys got to get the dredges out there to where you want to go there, right?
We floated ours down about a half a mile downriver to our spots.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Oh,
and
okay.
then, even though the water's low, there's still a good current out there. I was surprised.
That current's
for
strong.
them to get the dredges, they, with the boats, they tow them up. They're 10-inch dredge. I'm like, okay, how do you move the 10-inch dredge? I mean, this thing's like a barge.
Right.
And they say it took there's one part of the river that's a big horseshoe. And they said last year when they moved it, and they moved it back up, and they're going to actually probably, after they work this area for the next month, they're going to move it back through the horseshoe. It took them 3 days.
Wow.
To get it through there because of the currents and just the size, and I mean the boats, it's just hard to move stuff, but
wow.
Get those dredges back up to camp when you guys were done. They just put them on the...
Yeah, you tied them up.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, they hauled them up. I know that's what John's mission was to do after we left was, because there's one more session going on, and then they're probably just arriving tonight up there.
Okay.
They bring them closer to camp for where they want. They gave us a lot more leeway.
Right.
Their experience.
And more experience, and didn't need the constant supervision.
Sure.
Right.
We still got hurt, so maybe we should have had some.
Maybe.
No,
Just
we
kidding.
didn't get majorly hurt. Everybody got some type of nick or a bruise.
Last day dredging, I took my glove off, and I was moving the pieces of bedrock off the top, and one crumbled and it fell and it just slit right into my hand. I got a nasty cut. I looked at Jimbo; he had a bigger cut from the bedrock on his hand. It's like, oh yeah, everybody got banged up, cut up a little bit.
So a good rule is don't take your gloves off.
Pretty much, yeah.
Just don't.
Just don't do it. Right. That's the key. So, all right. Do you guys want to tell everybody how much gold you guys found?
We
found 4 grams.
we walked away with 4 ounces. However,
Wow.
we still have all of our black sands
That we brought
that
home.
we still need to go through, and it has a lot of gold in it.
Wow.
I'd say that's probably about another half ounce guessing.
There were 8 dredgers,
Yeah, 4 dredges.
but 4 dredges because everybody paired up,
Uh-huh.
and collectively we all found more than 20 ounces.
Wow. Way to
Do you-
go.
Do you think in your black sands you got about another half ounce?
Probably.
Could be.
I would say at least a minimum of 8 grams in
Sure.
At a minimum.
it. At a minimum.
Well, that's awesome. Jeez, you guys.
Now, I
that's
remember you guys was talking about the black sands. Is it really coarse, or was it really fine, or just mixed?
It's
Very
everything.
fine.
They also have some coarse.
They have some coarse, but like, you know, what we were talking earlier, kind of what you do. Like when we were out there and cleaned up our dredges a couple times during each day, we would first classify it down to an 1/8 mesh, and then pan those and look through for bigger pieces. When we ran it through the gold cube, we classified it down to 20 mesh, and then panned out for all the pickers that were left, and then we ran that through the keen. When you got down to those black sands, it was like such a thick powder. It was some thick stuff to pan. It was so fine.
Mm-hmm.
Those black sands, it was rough.
Now, how big? I seen you guys had a handful of garnets. How big are the garnets about?
Oh, depending on where you were on the river, some folks found like the whole pieces, and then mostly though they were like they were crushed up a little bit smaller, but they were bright red. I mean, they stuck out.
Cool.
Yeah, we found a lot that were a little like pea size, a little bit smaller.
Right.
Yeah, but that's
some of
still
the
pretty
people
good.
up from us a ways, they found them like nickel
Huge.
sizes.
That
It
would
was
be
really
awesome.
odd, but it was only in a couple spots where they were pulling garnets like that. And
Yeah,
they
but
were really
even
nice because they had all the sides.
Yeah,
looked
it wasn't
faceted.
like
It was-
Alabama where they had that schist on them.
Yeah.
These were actually rubbed clean, and you could see all the terminated sides.
That's
Cool.
It was really neat.
I mean, anything with
Jade.
pea sizes or bigger, you could make something out of it, you know.
Oh yeah, and there was jade. You could find jade. I brought home a few
That's
pieces.
cool.
Did you? Well, you have
Lots
to.
of pretty rocks.
Yeah, you have to bring home rocks.
I brought a bag of them home.
Nice. The garnets too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we
she,
got garnets. Yeah.
She filled up a few vials of those.
Kathleen's bag weighed an extra 40 pounds on the way back home after they got rid of
That's
everything.
why we had to keep stuff. We had to leave some stuff.
Yeah, we donated all of our diving gloves,
Left some toiletries.
toiletries, and knee pad.
Right. Why not? You had to make room
Now,
for
did you
that.
have to buy pillows while you were there?
Oh yeah, anything to sleep with. Like they have cots for you, right?
Right.
We packed our sleeping bags.
We packed our sleeping bags, but before you had to leave the town of Fairbanks, you go to like a Fred Meyer grocery store that has a houseware section, and we bought 2 pillows there.
Cool.
So.
You just left them there too, then.
No,
Actually,
we
we
like
took
those,
them
so we packed those in our back.
Oh, you packed them and brought them home.
Yeah, we love pillows.
I tell you what, I would have been like at the end of the day working so much, and you just drop on a cot and go to sleep. I wouldn't even worried about a
yeah,
pillow.
we slept in cots, and after a while, it was really cozy for me because I'm like, it's sleep, and I'm
You're
tired.
exhausted, right? You've worked hard all day, and you're ready to pass out. So sure, I bet you could have slept on a rock. You know.
Hey,
Yeah, you would have got a little cold.
hey, Shad, was your feet hanging off the end of the cot?
No, thankfully, these were men's-size cots, not little Swiftwater size. So, yeah, whether you're very tall, like over 6'3", or maybe you're a bit wide, they got the big size
Yeah.
cots.
Right.
The left spots,
Kathleen looked tiny in hers. It was funny.
Man. So how did you get to even use your mask, Shad, at all?
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, even though we weren't in that deep of water for the majority of the time, there were times that we would go back through after we worked a big section, and I would put the mask on and just that way you could see, and I would use the little blaster nozzle to blast through some of the cracks again. And every now and then I would actually see gold that was still there that either got missed or just that blew up. So we would quickly just suction off that quick layer again and then just keep moving. But
that's cool.
Yeah, we didn't have to use it as much as we were anticipating just because of where we found the gold.
Right.
And
It had rained a lot when we first.
yeah, and no, the cots are not military type. They are comfortable. John Hunt was asking, were they military type? No. The Kathleen had one that was actually Cabela's brand.
It was
a nice one.
Oh, yeah, those are good ones. That's a comfortable cot, right?
Did you flip a quarter off of it?
Yeah, hers you could. Mine was an older one.
What was your guys' typical cracks in the bedrock? I mean, 6 inches bigger or 6 inches or smaller?
Here's the thing about it, because that river freezes 100% solid.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking about, the big cracks, you know.
Yeah, as far as
some areas had
there
big
were
cracks.
some big cracks in like some of the bedrock, like the first foot, and this is what they kind of told us was like, don't go down the rabbit hole thinking you're going to get a lot of gold if you chase the bedrock down.
Right.
Take off the first 12 inches, and those 12 inches pretty much would come up very easily because it was getting just pulverized from the ice from the winter and the thaw.
Right.
Then
now,
after that, just move on.
after that, move down. You would take briefly, and you would use the blaster nozzle just to hit any other cracks that were a little bit deeper and just move on. Because there's probably some gold, but you're not moving the material. And up there, you want to just move that material because that's where you're going to get your bigger gold count.
Shad.
That would have been
Sometimes
great
you
getting
didn't even get on bedrock then, huh?
What's that, Rich?
Sometimes you didn't even get on bedrock, or?
Oh, no, you always went down. Most of the gold sat right above bedrock.
Okay.
You would always get down to. I mean, there are some areas where, what is it, about only 18 inches of material above bedrock. Some areas we got to, there was a couple feet, and that's where we would get a lot of the big gold.
Right. Now, Shad, did you have any of those Bering Sea gold moments when you were sucking up the gold and you could see it, pile of it going up into your dredge?
Only like when we were dredging on the 6-inch, only a little bit, but we did get to spend, what was it, a half a day?
Half day on the 10-inch.
Half day on their 10-inch commercial dredge.
Uh-huh.
And they let me use it for an hour. So there, because you would sit that nozzle down pretty much, and you would move bedrock and rocks around.
And it sucked it right up.
Because I was diving there. I could see lines of the gold after moving some of these big slabs of bedrock.
Right.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. That was very cool. And that day, they did ended up doing a clean out because they've been trying to get back on the gold with the 10-inch.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to say it was all for me, but again, I only ran in an hour. They did have a 2-ounce cleanup.
Wow.
Just in a 6-hour run time.
Wow.
Off of the 10-inch, right?
Off the 10-inch, yeah.
Yeah.
So they know they're back on it, So.
Wow.
But that was
cool.
really cool, and it was really neat to see a giant 10-inch dredge in action that looked more like a barge. It even had a grill on it.
And a
Did you guys get pictures of the motors and stuff, the pumps on the dredge, the 10-inch?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. We did. We shot video of it.
It'll be on one of our videos.
Yeah, Wandering Buffalo. Subscribe today. But yeah, I think we got some pictures. We'll show a few brief clips on Facebook soon on this stuff.
Okay.
They did a bush fix this past year though on the motors, and so I guess right now it's gigantic of what's on there compared to what they're going to work on off season. But it's pretty wild.
Awesome.
Cool. Yeah, I can't wait to see some of this footage that you shot while you was down there. That'll
Me,
be
at
cool.
a 10-inch, I think a 10-inch would have been cool, Tim. But you remember, I think it was on a Bering Sea Gold where that guy had a 12-inch he was running.
Was it a 12?
Yeah, they buried it in the sand.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That one they
Oh,
got.
yeah, and you know what's funny? Because I always say the same thing to Lisa. She goes, well, that's just sand. I'm like, something's got to be holding the sand up.
Yeah. Jeez.
I will say, 10-inch is very hard to move. The hose, it's heavy, and like you would sweep as far left as you could in a big sweeping motion, and then to the right, and then as you cleared out an area, you would then go back up to the surface and kind of tell them to move forward, and they had winches that moved the whole dredge forward, and you would just kind of pick up the nozzle a little bit, and it would all of a sudden jump like 6-8 inches for you, and then you work that area, and then you just keep moving forward. It was pretty wild.
Wow. I think that would have been pretty cool, even on a 6-inch like you guys were running. Once you get a hole, and they're they said, don't be having bedrock dreams, don't be go chasing that. So once you get a hole, just keep moving forward. That would have been kicking. That'd been kicking. I'd love that.
Yeah,
that's just
it's
cool.
Nice that way, because even a 6-inch dredge hose, it's not like a 4, 3, or 2-inch hose where you can bend easily around.
No.
Right.
They're stiffer hoses when you get that size, as we found out.
Yeah, and not to mention you guys are in cold water.
Right.
Yeah, we had to a couple times actually go we would go in towards a big gravel bar towards the bank.
We had to break away the bedrock just to set the nozzle down, and then we would just feed everything in it.
And then, because we would start moving down parallel with the bank, we would eventually have to pull everything back and hit another area close to the dredge and dredge back to it just to have a bigger surface area to work.
Keep the water flowing.
The water flowing, and because we couldn't bend the hose too well, like a 90-degree angle.
Wow. Just crazy.
No, like I said, that hose is too stiff for that. Plus, you guys are in cold water, so that thing never warms up.
No.
Oh.
No, and you definitely want to have, we were good with our Farmer John wetsuits. You had 14 mil over your core. We didn't have to use the hot water heaters.
Okay.
At all, really. Granted, I did when I was on the 10-inch, and they had 3 of those hooked up to those motors. And oh my God, it was so warm. I felt I can't tell if I'm peeing myself or what. It feels so good in here.
Well, we would use the hose just to warm up briefly.
When you're tender.
When you're a tender, because you're standing there.
Especially in the rain.
Right.
Pouring down rain. But other than that, as long as you had, diving gloves on, at some points we were just using our 3 mil gloves.
Mm-hmm.
You're more than fine, but if you took anything off and touched that water, oh my God. So it was cold.
So Shad, you guys would just basically just run all day and then do a cleanup before you went back to camp, right?
We cleaned out a minimum of twice per day, but the 6-inch dredges we ran were the 3-stage dredges.
Okay.
So we would only clean up during the day the top portions.
Okay.
And we do that about 2, sometimes 3 times.
Right.
Before the end of the night, and then at night.
What stage dredge was it? They were huge. They were
You guys really cleaned out 3 times on a.
Only the top
only
part.
The top part.
Only because we're dealing with such fine gold. If you didn't, you would have a lot more in the bottom of your dredge. So we did it. We just you ended up having more gold than the days that we didn't clean up as much. But we only clean the complete dredge out once a day.
Because there was different stages to this dredge. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine's a 2-stage. The fines go under and the heavies go over the top. But man, I don't know. I'd run it all day long.
Yeah, the ones that didn't have the gold counts as the others.
Oh. See?
Because there was so much heavies in the box, your dredge would overfill.
Okay.
And you could see, even still, there was gold at the end of the box.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's it's so fine, and
right.
It was weird too, because even when we did weigh the gold, it seemed like there would be a lot more than the weight. I shouldn't say a lot more, but it weighs less than you would think some other areas.
Yeah, you have your vow, you think you got a lot of gold in the vow, and then you put it on the scale. It's like, what?
Yeah, we would fill up on the water table. We started counting. They had one of the small quarter-ounce vials that screwed in.
Mm-hmm.
Filling up 5 of those would give us, would give us just an ounce of gold. Or
Isn't that
actually?
Isn't that like Jimbo's water table? It's got a screw-in little vial that goes underneath.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Martin table did too.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the first time we ever had to change vials.
Ooh.
I'm like, okay.
What a problem!
Yeah,
What a problem!
This is new.
I know.
Yeah. Wow. Good problem to have, though, Kathleen.
I know.
But I will
Right?
say one thing that went in our favor. The first couple nights, somebody, I don't know if they dropped the scale or something, but it wasn't calibrated, right?
Uh-huh.
So we're all being like, oh my God, this stuff, that's all it
so
is?
white.
And then, like, finally, like, third day, somebody brought, because we even brought our own scale. I just didn't break it out to do the weighs for it. But we had, like, one of those known weight, 50-gram weight things
Yeah.
to calibrate.
Right.
And realized it was off, and
Like
boom,
10.
Yeah, everybody
Oh,
was off
geez.
by 10 grams.
Wow.
Well, you guys always remember all you got to do is throw a nickel. That's 5 grams.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I didn't
Yeah,
have it.
nickel weighs 5 grams.
Well, that's good to know, Scott. Thank you. Throw a nickel on the scale.
Yeah, I mean everybody's got a nickel.
Yeah. Usually. Unless you're in the bush.
No, we didn't even bring any cash because
Right.
once you're out there,
See?
all your needs are taken care of. They don't charge extra for anything.
That's perfect. I bet you was you sad to leave or was you ready to leave?
I was both 50-50.
Okay.
I was sad, but then I was ready to be back. But it was starting to get cold. It gets cold fast.
Right.
It felt like October. And, you know, of course, we missed the kids and the dogs. And
Right, of course.
I'm still off work for the rest of the week, so I'm excited about that.
Oh, that's good because you could rest.
Yeah, I need it too.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I think it would have been tough for you to come back and go right back to work.
There was no way.
You'd be dragging. That would
But-
be too much.
So worth saving my vacation for. And, you know, we're thinking about going to California in December just for, you know, a mini vacation.
Right.
So that'll be fun.
Yeah, that'll be cool. But now it's going to be hard to top this one, Kathleen.
It will. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm definitely going to go back.
Uh-huh.
Like, you know, we may have to, we're working on moving next, you know, getting stuff ready to move next year, but definitely the year after.
Right.
And I think y'all should, like, do a group and go.
Oh, that would be cool, wouldn't it?
Save up your money, you know, do whatever, but it's so worth it.
That would be cool for, like, me, you, Rich, Scott, Shad,
Yeah.
all of us just to go. That would be fun.
If you are interested, I know we have the banner on the site for Gold Fever Prospecting. Just so you know, though, their 2020 schedule doesn't come out until the fall after they get back because it's, you know, they actively mine all the way until it's right before the freeze up there.
Yeah,
Well,
which
I wouldn't be able to
makes
go next year. I'm supposed to be in the Yukon.
sense.
Yeah.
Well, the good news, this is only
40 miles from the Yukon.
not even.
Not even 40 miles.
Wow. Did you?
I'll be around Dawson City.
Well, we were really close there, actually.
Yep.
Oh, really?
What's funny, a couple of times where they have the big floods, they have to get dredges, not just, you know, other miners on that river. They float all the way into Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's crazy. And man, so did you see any salmon or anything, Shad?
No salmon are up there on that river.
You don't
and
want salmon
You
to
don't
be in
want
that
salmon
river.
in your gold mining areas up
Because
there.
then you're not allowed to mine for
Oh.
what, a month.
True.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's the salmon waterways are protected.
Oh,
Those dead salmon.
damn
Yeah.
salmon.
But no, they had the one
Graylings.
fish, graylings, yeah.
Graylings,
They're up
okay.
there. Some people caught some.
Okay.
Some people.
Yeah, some people didn't.
There were a ton, like after you
Did you
finished
get some?
dredging, there were a ton of them that would just swim in your hole. And they would just look at you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, go figure. They like the dredge holes.
Yeah.
No, say it's not so.
Yeah, they do. And guess what? They didn't get sucked up the dredges.
You can't. I told you. I have tried to suck a fish up a dredge.
They're
I
smarter
still-
than that.
You get close to them, they go wing. They get out of your way, and then they come right back. I'm
Sure.
like, man.
They just want to see what you're doing. That's all. They're just curious.
Oh, they're sitting there waiting for food to come up out of that rocks.
The organic matter that you move.
Oh, yeah.
They're
Well, you got to remember, in rivers like that, there's like little parasites and little worms and stuff like that down in the rocks. And when you guys shuffle them up, it puts them back in the water. So they're like, hey, we know what's going on because that's what we want anyway.
Yeah. The good thing, though, there were no snakes.
No.
Too cold for snakes.
I was going to say, if you did find one, he'd be white.
I absolutely loved it. There were no creepy crawlies or snakes.
No
you know how we
spiders?
find like strange things here in the Midwest and the creeks and rivers.
No.
But there, it was just so clean, and
What
the only
about the-
thing you saw were fish.
What about the gnats and the bugs? You didn't see many of those there?
No, there were, because we were in the tundra in the summer. However, my essential oil bug repellent totally worked.
It did work.
100%.
I didn't even use the cans of off. Never even opened them. I left them there for the next people.
Yeah.
Really?
And it took me a while to perfect the recipe, but I finally did, and didn't even have to reapply. Remember how I took it to Ed and Jesse's outing at the end of June, and we just kept having to reapply because it wouldn't last very long?
Right.
Well, I found a couple secret ingredients to add and put it on in the beginning of the evening, and it worked all night. One night I did forget to put it on, and I didn't realize I had forgotten, and I was just chewed up. But didn't forget after that.
Yeah, you know, you always see those videos of them guys got them face nets on, and there's just gnats everywhere around.
Yeah.
They're everywhere.
Yeah.
Yep, didn't need our or any of that, our face masks or nothing.
Nope.
Wow.
Deal.
And there were no ticks that we saw.
They don't have ticks there, I don't think.
I was
So,
gonna say, it's probably too cold.
yeah.
Wow. That's crazy, though. You know? All in all, a great adventure is what that was.
Wandering buffaloes approved.
That
Word.
is cool.
Which,
That is just the coolest. I mean, it really is. We're glad you guys are back, and glad it was successful. You know, you didn't come back, you know, all sad and depressed and mopey because you didn't do good. You guys killed it, and you had a great time, and you know, so that's the kind of vacation you want when you're going on a prospecting vacation. That's for sure.
Oh yeah,
And
definitely.
it was a true prospecting vacation. It wasn't any of, here's a pile of dirt, dig through it.
Right.
It was find your own dirt
and keep it.
and keep it and work your butt off.
That's
Was you guys able to contact home from there?
Every now and then.
They have a satellite internet there. You know, as far as any messaging goes, you could send an email or maybe a Facebook message. They did tell us if we could every now and then post pictures on our Wandering Buffaloes, just since, you know, people follow that.
Right.
There was just enough time you could do it. But when we had rain, no internet, nothing.
Right.
So we were able to check on the kids like every once, maybe 3 days or so.
uh-huh.
They do have satellite phone for emergencies, so if you do or have something going on at home and you need to check in, they're more than welcome to let you text on that.
That's cool.
So yeah, but
yeah, that would probably be a necessity up there. At least have one.
it is.
sat phone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because like you're.
I mean, you're
luckily,
still in the wild.
all the miners on that river, they pretty much know each other and they all help out.
Okay.
And even one guy that was probably about 20 miles downstream came up on his hoverboat one day because something broke, and because they're a big camp with tons of spare parts and tons of dredges and things, they know they can come there and, you know, maybe there's something there they can do a bush fix when they're out there and
Right.
keep going. So
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah, on that equipment, ain't no duct tape going to help you. That's for sure.
No.
Well, that's cool. But did you see a lot more, you know, miners than what was in the group, Shad?
what's that?
Did you see a lot more miners there, you know, on the river than was in your group?
As far as actively mining,
We probably
We-
ran across about
about a dozen. Now
Oh,
there
okay.
are several others where either they just weren't out at the time,
But you can see their camps.
dredges, their camps are there, you know, because some work all summer, other ones come up for like a month and then month off and month back they're in, you know.
Okay.
But they'll have their 6-inch, 8-inch dredges there. Some are DIY type dredges. It's a whole variety. Some people build nice little camps for them to stay. Other ones, I swear, they're sleeping underneath the tarp with the fire right there. It varies drastically.
Sure.
Well, that's the old time mining when you're doing that.
Yeah. That would be Scott's camp right there. Yeah. Right, Scott?
Well, like Dennis laughed at me because in Idaho, they were camped out there by one of his claims, and I was 20 miles in town, and I was just thinking, I told Lee, I was like, yeah, you know what, I got hookups, and 20 miles just ain't that far. So
Yeah.
I stayed with the hookups when she came into town. I was just like, yeah, I had a good place, good friends, and good people. Janet Cowboy, they were great guests and stuff or great people to have me as a guest, I should say. And it was just, I don't know, I had a lot of fun in town, but I got to see Dennis, and I know them guys were on a mission, but at that point in time when they showed up, I was kind of what they call burnout already, and yeah, I wasn't too into it.
Well, hey, should I do gold prices real quick?
Yeah, you should. Let us know what that gold's up
Yeah,
to.
because they're miraculous.
Yeah, well, gold's up $14 to $1,517.
Yeah.
I guess you can look at the treasury stocks. Everything kind of really nosedive again today.
Uh-huh.
So there's recession fears, which means the price of our gold and silver is definitely going up because of that. Silver's up 27 cents to $17.25.
Booyah.
Platinum did fall $9 to $846. Palladium, that one's down $27 to $1,424.
Okay.
So pretty impressive there. We saw for a while rhodium was so much above, or palladium was so much above the gold prices.
Right.
So.
You guys remember like the gold prices? What I was saying, like if you watch the gold prices and stuff, it's coming out. Gold prices has went up this month really high already. Higher than what it was in the last 6. And then guess what's coming out next month is the new iPhones. So like I said, new phones and new computers when they're coming out a month, 2 months ahead, you watch that gold price will go up. They need that gold.
Maybe a little bit. I don't know about that much, man.
Yeah, to affect.
There's a lot of gold in today's cell phones, man.
There is,
Yeah, I
but
know,
I don't think enough to manipulate the market.
To actually manipulate the market, correct?
Well,
I don't know. Maybe
rhodium did go up $10 to $3,740.
Uh-huh.
So that was surging way up again, higher than ever before.
Yeah.
So guess you should have bought it when it was $2,500.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See.
But yeah, no, it'll be interesting, with all the stuff in the markets. There's a lot of uncertainty, so.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, this is true.
Good time for our precious metals going up. And I swear I read another thing. They're still thinking it'll get up to 1,800 because of all this stuff.
The highest it only got was 1798. So 18 would break the record.
Well, let's see it get
we
there.
shall see.
Let's see it get there.
And then if it goes to 18, we're going to be out there with everybody and their brother.
It'll be a recession then, bro.
Yeah, that's what the fears are right now is recession happening again. Everything's predicting it. So, and they said this thing is never wrong. So we'll see.
I don't believe it.
Yeah.
You know what? They say that that stuff dropped. If you watch the stock market, like I said, I used to trade a lot. When Trump it was 23 something was the Dow. It went clear up to 26 and it's down to 25. We're not in the red.
No.
Due to whatever they're saying on the news, we're not in the red.
It's not all stocks, right? You got to think our treasury bonds and stuff like that influence our interest rates. That's what the recession stuff goes off of,
right.
Not the value of all the other stocks. So. Who knows? But gold's obviously doing well with it.
Yeah, obviously.
I can't complain.
Heck no.
Property prices are still up too. So,
what is Scott? What?
I said property prices are still up as well. So when you start talking about recession, like everything goes down.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, we don't see it out here in Arizona yet. I'm just saying that.
Oh no, yeah. Who knows?
What about some birthdays, Shad? You got any today or?
Woohoo!
Oh, I think so. I mean, I'm sure somebody has a birthday today on August 14th. We got Carrie Coffey, Christopher McEwen, Daniel Horouchi, Dan the Pannin Man, Dick Little, Grant Alexander, Jim Matatucci, Jody Francisco, John Hackman, Mark, Mel Williams, and Paul Bean. And tomorrow I can see a few. We have Al Bachner, Brian J. Adams, David Casto, Greg Bacon, Jackie Neek, Linda, and Stephen Anthony Warren.
Well, happy birthday.
So you get a feature.
Happy day, happy day.
The pressure here to pick somebody really quick.
Do that.
You know what? I'll go to Dan the Pannin Man.
I was going to say, do the Pannin Man. It's just too good of a name.
I know. It jumps out at you. He's from Salt Lake City, Utah. Give me a second to scroll down. He obviously likes to prospect using a gold pan, high banks, sluice, dredges, and dry washes. He belongs to the STG, Gold Prospectors, and the GPAA. He found it through goldprospectors.org. The person was Tin Pan Chuck that referred him over.
Oh,
Cool.
Tin Pan Chuck.
What state's he from?
Salt Lake City, Utah.
How long has he been a member?
Give me a second.
Can they dry wash in Utah?
I don't
I think
know.
so.
He's been a site since 2010, August 26th.
So,
You know what? I've never been to Utah, but can they dry wash there?
I don't know. I never been
I mean,
to
usually
Utah
that's a
either.
desert, like Nevada, Arizona, Southern California kind of thing. Do they have those?
Travel.
Yeah, Jaron said yes.
Oh, okay. Cool. I didn't know that.
Say,
The
There you
West
go.
Desert, he said. So
there you go.
that's pretty cool. I didn't know that either.
Nope, me
I didn't know it
neither.
got dry enough.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Dry washing in Utah? Really? Because I thought Utah was like mostly green, right?
I don't know, Scott. I've never been to
I-
Utah.
I think they have like a big area that's dry.
Evidently,
Isn't
it's
that
the
where-
West Desert.
Isn't that where like the salt flats and all of that dryness?
Right? I don't know.
No, that's not in Utah. That's
California?
Nevada, the Salt Flats.
No.
Well, they have Salt Lake City, so
That makes sense.
It's an actual lake.
That's what I was gonna say. It's a dried lake now, so you're probably right. They could dry wash there.
Wyoming Gold's metal detecting adventure says that the Utah is high desert.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be damned.
So, there you go, Scott.
You know, I never do that. Like I said, I never even thought about Utah as like a dry washing spot. You know, there's only so many places you can actually use those things in. So, but that's pretty interesting.
Yes.
So
it
if I
is.
go, I'm glad to know that in case I ever go to Utah to go mining.
Now you know. All right, let's take a quick break, and we will be right back, everybody.
Do you like to mine for gold? Enjoy prospecting a nice crack in the bedrock? Enjoy getting outdoors to camp, fish, hunt, and hike on your public lands? You plan your trip, load the gear, grab the dog, put the family in the truck, and drive off to a locked gate. A sign says you cannot enter or access your own public lands. Mining claims and public land owned by we the people are being designated as off limits by our own government every single day. Are you concerned about the direction our government is going? Are you tired of seeing no access, no entry signs on your lands? We are, and we are fighting back. We are AMRA, America Mining Rights Association, the fastest growing small mining advocacy association in America. AMRA is a 501c3 not-for-profit formed by miners, hunters, off-roaders, retired military men, and women to stop the insanity. AMRA was formed to educate, unite, and help the small miners and public land users on their rights given to us by God. Do you want access to great mining claims? For a small tax-deductible donation to their miners' legal fund, your family gains access to proven excellent mining claims across America for an entire year. AMRA challenges the USFS, BLM, EPA, and the other agencies intent upon stopping you from enjoying your own lands. You are who pays these people's wages. It is time they listen to us. us. We need to unite. And that is what AMRA is doing. As you sit here right now, thousands of acres of public lands are being closed, locked, and blocked from use by you. Are you fed up yet? Join us. Get in on this fight and let's restore America to what our families fought and died for. Freedom. Just visit AmericanMiningRights.com. AmericanMiningRights.com. Also, check us out on Facebook at American Mining Rights Association. AmericanMiningRights.com.
All right, everybody, we're back. Okay, now, Shad and Kathleen, are you going to melt that stuff down and make you a big old bar?
We don't know what we're doing. We're probably
gonna hoard it.
Maybe
Buffalo
hoard it. We don't know yet. Yeah.
Okay, but you sure you don't want to make you a couple 1 ounce bars? That would be cool, wouldn't it?
That would be cool.
We may make one. I don't know.
That'd be pretty neat.
See.
At least one, right? And
we have to at least make one.
that could be like your
one
keepsake from it. That way, even if you sold the other or whatever, you'd always have that one keepsake of this was all from our trip.
Definitely. I mean, this was the most gold we've ever found in one trip.
Right. It's awesome.
That's before it was our Arizona trip with the half ounce.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And
A half ounce?
Yeah.
I didn't see no half ounce.
Yeah, half ounce with a nugget.
I know it. Just teasing you guys.
And see, Scott?
Yeah.
Not the one we did with you.
No, yeah. It was another trip.
It was the other trip.
Oh, it was the other trip there.
Yeah, it wasn't that one that you came out to the clay where we were at. No, yeah.
No, it was our anniversary trip.
It was the successful trip.
Not with
you guys. Yeah, you guys got to remember when I come out to see you guys, that was just a fun day for me. I wasn't really into working.
We had the puffer, so we didn't do a half ounce puffer.
Oh, mercy. I'm just happy for you guys. But we are sure glad you guys are back, and
good to be back.
get things back.
What
to
was the
normal.
color difference on the gold? Was it brighter?
Okay. There's two really big types of gold there, right?
Yeah, there's two geological events that went through there, so you can tell by the color of the gold that you found which was which. That there were two different ones, but the nuggets actually looked very, very dirty and rough.
Mm-hmm.
But the placer deposits were very bright, like what we would find here in the Midwest.
Pretty close, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
that's
so-
cool. And I wonder what.
Yeah, it was kind of neat to see the difference.
I wonder.
You know, what's funny is because when gold's darker, it's usually mixed with something like copper or something like that. Did they tell you anything like that? Or
They did.
no?
They said it's about 85% gold on the that type when it's the darker stuff.
Okay.
When they had it assayed.
Assayed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's cool though. Still, it's cool.
Yeah, because you guys weren't digging in no slate or anything like that, right? Just more or less just cobble.
Cobble and then into their bedrock. Yeah, it's mostly just all their cobble. There's no slate walls or anything like that.
Cool. Scott, anything else?
No, I was just like curious. Like you said, the bedrock, and it's like she's saying it was sharp, and I'm just kind of thinking, what was the bedrock? What was the bedrock composed of to be that sharp? Because usually, bedrock comes out sharp, but not really like your guys are talking about. He's got a cut on his hand and all this stuff, and Jimbo did too. So it's got to be like really, like, is it thin and sharp, or is it just like it just breaks off that way?
Yeah, it's the way it breaks off, and that's from that river freezing all the way down in the winters, and grinding on that bedrock that chips it away. Mm-hmm. You would even find rocks, about the cobble the size of like soccer and basketballs, and they would be cracked right in half, but still be together just from the pressure of the ice. From everything freezing. And as soon as you freed it, you got two halves. That it was really weird. It was like perfect line. Mm-hmm. Well, that what's happened to the first 12 plus inches of the bedrock It's still intact, but it's been fractured so much that sometimes you'll pull out bigger chunks, but other times it's, these thin chunks are just like really sharp edges. It's very weird, and you definitely want to wear gloves.
I can imagine, because you said you were long armoring for a little bit, so that's only like maybe 2.5 feet deep.
Yeah, 2.5 feet probably was on average there. When we got there, the water was really low. We did get some rain, like we said. The water did come up. By the time we left, it was a little bit higher, but it wasn't where we were working, right along the bank and the gravel bars. Obviously there, you're still having to push material down, or at least undercut it so it falls down into your hole, then you can suction it up. In the first few days we were there, we were using that blaster nozzle, like kind of to knock the material down that way into the water, and as well as break up some of the bedrock because it got so shallow in some areas.
So like, cool. Yeah, I was like, so that would be. I mean, if it wasn't that deep, but it does freeze up there, and Alaska's Alaska. I can imagine it cracking a whole lot of rocks, plus the bedrock actually.
Yeah, sure. You can tell when you got closer to the bank. Obviously, bedrock there in most spots went up, and those sections were so hard you couldn't hardly break through those pieces. It wasn't easy. So you could tell the water level usually sits lower when it freezes. And you would see that difference as you were kind of moving in your dredge hole. Even when you dove in the deeper water, you still ran across the same thing with the first 12 plus inches all fractured up. And coming up, some areas came up like it was just gravel once you exposed it. Other ones, you kind of would wiggle out one or two sections, and then all of it would come up in a big section. It was like kind of a Jenga.
Now, since you guys has been there and everything, and some of our listeners out there, they might want to go up there and take this challenge like you guys did. Did you guys? I mean, a lot of people that want to go dredging and stuff, they don't want to get in the habit of moving big boulders. Was there like a bunch of big boulders in the creeks where you were, or is it pretty mainly good?
In some spots, yeah. The ones we moved, there was some challenging where Kathleen had to help me move them. With both of us together because they were so big and heavy. But even the ones that were bigger, if you dredge strategically and you could get them to kind of slide, and you would just push them into that area you worked. So when we came across some of those really large boulders, that's exactly what we did. We would dredge an area and kind of make it so we could just slide it into the water and work the rest of the area. And we did that a few spots.
Yeah, you're doing like what we do. We just roll them back. You dig out a spot, dig under one side of the rock, roll them over, dig, and keep going forward.
Yeah, it's definitely not like the Gold Rush whitewater, what they experience. Plus, that's more for a show, I think, too.
Well, because they're sitting there dredging in something that's like 19 feet wide, and the whole river goes through that little shotgun.
Exactly.
So,
yeah, and like, when you are in the deeper waters, that's where the current is. So littler rocks that can't be suctioned up, you would just kind of put them off over your head, and the current would take them away from your body, so you didn't get hit.
Cool.
And then that made it easy, even with the 10-inch, when I was moving bigger pieces of bedrock and rocks than we did with the 6-inch. You would just use the current after you kind of wiggle them over the area you needed to work, and let the current kind of help flip it back, and that's exactly what I did.
Now, when you was on the 10-inch, I think we heard a story about somebody clogging a 10-inch hose.
Shad was like the king of clogs.
Oh, shut up. You clog, too.
No, well, it's a 10-inch hose. How do you put a 10-inch rock in a 10-inch hose?
Bedrock, okay? All right. You had your blaster nozzle, because that thing works great for helping loosen up some of the fractured bedrock as well as the crevicing. The only problem is it does fog out your entire area for the moment when you have that thing on, kicking up all the silt and stuff. Well, I had where the nozzle, and I was using it, and then all of a sudden it loosened everything up, and it just went in. It was a skinny long rock. Probably
it was 9.5 inches.
it was about, I would say, about 6 inches wide thickness, but it was the length of this thing had to have been over a foot plus.
Wow.
And
see,
so
that's what we call a flapper.
Yeah, and it just went in there, and I think it caught one of the riffles in the hose, and it just got wedged there. So we throttled way down, and they were pretty much using a spud bar to kind of start banging on the hose. And finally, we got it to where it got close to the area where the sluice box, and Matt reached in, and I just kind of looked back up once I was in the water, and he held it up. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, we call those flappers down here because you'll get a flat. It's like it'll be 1 inch thick, but be like 4 inches long, and it'll get in and just turn sideways right in the hose.
Yep. It did it right in the center. I mean, it was, yeah, I was like, well, whoops, my bad.
Hey, accidents happen. That's the way it goes. And if you didn't have a clog, you probably weren't dredging in the first place. So.
Oh yeah, he says these flat ones like that, they're always the ones that get jammed in there. He might have been telling me that to make me feel better, but he actually did say that before I got the clog and was in there, so not my fault.
Yeah, it's not easy getting those clogs out though on a big hose, is it?
Oh no. They're rough on 6 inch. You talk about a 10 inch. It's like, yeah, no.
Extra hard.
At least you got to run a 10 inch, Shad, right?
Yeah, that's the largest dredge on that river, and it is cool. And Kathleen, I mean, it had how many boxes on there?
8.
What?
Yeah.
8 sluice boxes.
8 sluice boxes?
Wow.
Dang.
It had you had the main sluice box, but it had a reverse sluice box, and then it had on each side up in the front, it had, in the first drop, it had 4 holes with 2 boxes on each side. And then at the very end, it had, to get a lot of fine material, at the very end of the box, it had 2 others shooting out on the side and the bottom.
Wild.
And it's, to clean that out.
Was that a homemade dredge, or did they company buy that?
Well, they inherited it, but it was custom built that way.
Okay.
From a company, yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
I mean, it's massive.
Oh, man, yeah.
But it was cool because, I mean, on the 4 ones at the top, it would just line up with gold, and you could see how that was doing. The reverse sluice box, he took a handful just out right away and just slapped it in a pan, and it was just filled.
And the 2 little sluice boxes on each side, they had that boiling action where it would keep all of the big material at the top, but then the rest of the sluice box was filled up with what they call fine material, but what we would call pickers and flakes.
Nice flakes, yeah, pickers. You would see the pickers just laying there. It's like, wow.
Yeah, it was just amazing, and he just took a handful out of the part on the side, out of just one of them, and did a pan, and there was just hundreds and hundreds of pieces.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but could you imagine the price in that dredge? $16,000-$20,000 at least.
Oh God,
Oh.
have to be.
Yeah,
right?
well, it came with the camp when they bought it all.
Oh, that's
with all
cool.
the
Wow.
and everything. Yeah, it's a huge. I mean, there was 3 of us at one time walking on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big
Yeah.
one.
Like a boat.
Yeah,
You could totally take that to Nome.
yeah.
Bering Sea.
Yeah, you just put a little motor on that to float, to drive it, and you're set. I mean, it was an impressive machine, that's for sure.
Wow.
That is crazy. You know,
I can't wait to see. I've seen some pictures you guys posted, but man, I can't wait to see the video of you guys walking around on it stuff. That's gonna be cool.
Hey,
Yeah, and I
Shad,
got some underwater footage of Shad using it, so
Nice.
you can really see the nozzle in action.
And I think she got the whole clog thing on.
Yeah, I
some
did.
tape, too.
Perfect. Perfect. Hey guys, what kind of matting and stuff was you running in that 6-inch?
Just good old-fashioned miner's moss.
That's right.
That's it. Okay,
Yep,
good.
was
Okay.
the top section had rib matting.
A rib matting with
Moss.
miner's
Yep.
moss on top.
Uh huh.
And then there was more miner's moss on the top stage
Yep.
on the lower box, and then underneath, with the additional riffles and expanded metal, there was more miner's moss and carpet.
Yeah.
It was nothing but miner's moss.
Yeah,
Cool.
one thing we've learned is they don't play around with all these little mats we all hear of.
No.
They're old school stuff because that's what catches the most material.
Yep.
They don't get into the mat debates.
That's still what I use today. Is that I went, I did all the mats things, and hey, I had fun and found gold with it. But I went back to the old 3-inch corrugated metal with miner's moss underneath. That's all I run.
Now, some of the dredges did have, or some of the cleanup stuff did have mats, but we found that most of the dredgers that we were with anyway, didn't use the mats at all. I mean, except for the Miracle Mat.
Miracle Mat on the Keen cleanup. Yeah,
they
they use the gold cube with the original mats in the gold cube. That was it. And we talked a little bit to Matt, because he's obviously, it's not just a dredge camp, but they have the commercial mining aspect of what they do. It's when you're talking about the getting the gold up there, it's about moving material.
Right.
Exactly.
They don't get down to, oh my God, we need to capture. I hope this gets 99.8% of the gold that we get through there, because guess what? You're not when you're talking about huge volumes of material and water going through. Mm-hmm. You're going to lose some.
Didn't they have something on the Super 6?
The Super 6, no, they still had like a rib vortex type stuff in some sections on the little small, because that one has actually 3 separate sluice boxes on
Super
that.
6.
The Super 6, yeah.
Why was
that was a pretty cool machine.
Why was it a Super 6? Because it had 3 boxes, or?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But as far as all the other dredges and even their commercial dredge, on the really small side boxes, they had vortex matting.
They had vortex matting at the beginning, but then they had the miner's moss and the expanded out.
Yep.
Pretty cool. Cool. Awesome. Well, I'm just glad you guys.
Such an experience.
It
was. When you go there, if any of you want to look into it for gold fever prospecting, like I said, you're going to get an authentic dredge camp experience. I mean, you're pooing in the outdoors. You're
in an outhouse, though.
There's an outhouse,
right?
So you're not going to have flushing toilets or anything like that. But
you're roughing it.
Yeah, but just think about it. You guys got to go where the guys did back in the old days, but you didn't have to do the hike.
Well, and here's one cool thing, because we did learn some of the history.
We got to see Franklin, that old mining town. It's now a town, but it was some of the old equipment is still there.
That's cool.
Yep. They in that area they used bucket line dredges.
Mm-hmm.
And what's really cool about where Gold Fever Prospecting Claim is, at the very top of towards the end of, or I guess the beginning of the claim, was where the bucket line dredges started and went upriver. So everything below from like where the camp is and 9.8 miles of their claims was not touched by the big bucket lines that went through up and down that river.
Oh, that's cool.
They did use some bucket line or bucket dragging in some sections where they tied cable up to the cliffs and had like a single bucket they dragged all the way down along some of the sides. But even that's few in between, and you can kind of tell.
There's still pockets of great gold.
You see where they did it, and you see where they didn't.
Gotcha.
It's pretty cool.
That is cool. I mean, yeah, like Scott said, you got to go where the old miners went, but without the hike. So.
Oh yeah.
That's cool.
You would listen to how they mine. Like Kathleen read one of their little books they had there on that area. And like the first bucket line dredge they brought there was, Matt was telling us, one of the steam powered ones. They had a crew of 33 men. They brought it in the wintertime on sleds and donkeys.
Wow.
Donkey.
They assembled it, and 3 men ran the dredge itself. The other 30 harvest wood to keep the furnaces going.
Right.
And then what happened was they got 1 mile the first year before the winter hit again. they moored the dredge but didn't get it out of the water enough. And the winter ices and summer thaws destroyed it. And the remnants are still buried there, parts of it that weren't wood. Wow. And you can see them.
Cool.
That's cool.
So yeah, it was interesting. They were telling us more about like the Franklin miners from that town, what they did. They would collect they would prospect during the summers.
Mhm. And then in the winters, they would dig the big pits and catch it on fire and look for gold there.
And you still see those pits everywhere that they mine down into.
We got to go see the remnants of that town, and BLM, I do believe, still owns that area, but we were able to walk through, and there were still remnants of the cabins. We've got a lot of it on video that we're going to put out on one of our episodes. But you can see, old outhouses. You can see what they built their cabins out of. I mean, they didn't waste anything. They were using there's still the old kerosene containers that they had taken apart and flattened and used them as shingles.
Wow. Yeah, they used to cut didn't they used to cut like coffee cans and the soup cans in half and then fold them out and use them for like shingles sometimes too?
They used every material they brought out there for their buildings and repurposed it. It's insane. Yeah, and you could even see like their tundra coolers where they would basically their fridges and stuff for their food. A lot of times they were directly underneath the houses. Right, and one of the structures you could actually peer into one. It looks like a mini mine shaft.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
Actually, Matt and Ginger at the camp, they have holes that they've dug into the tundra where they use it to keep their food cold.
Really?
Yeah, it's weird how that works.
Like all your drinks, you just throw them in there and...
Ice cold.
The beer I brought out, it was ice cold.
That's awesome.
I bet.
And they still have parts of the tundra that are melty. And the water flows like a little stream of water into the river. So cold. And then when you're dredging, once in a while, you'll get into a really, really cold spot. And you're like, oh, it's like frigid. But then it's like goes in waves. It's kind of odd.
That's cool. See,
and Kathleen and I did climb up one of the small little mountains there to the top.
Okay.
That was quite the climb, let me tell you.
Like, you look at it and you're like, that's not that tall.
No.
That's not that steep.
Mm-hmm. Surprise.
Yeah.
And I kept looking out for bears and moose, and I was so nervous the whole time.
Yeah, we'd pass. Once we got to the top, that's where the bears like to hang out in the summer.
There was fresh bear poo, and I was like, okay, we got to go.
Yeah.
Cause don't they up on the mountains, they turn rocks for like the moths and stuff like that they're eating?
Mostly, there's so many berries.
Oh, the blueberries.
Right, blueberries, cranberries, other red berries.
Salmon berries.
Yeah. That's what they're eating up there when they're not trying to get meat.
Right, sure. Mm-hmm.
I ate some of the blueberries, too, and they were pretty good.
There you go, see?
They're everywhere.
What an experience. It's an experience, and, man, thank you guys for sharing it with us.
You're welcome.
That's the cool part.
The Wandering Buffaloes.
A whole bunch.
That's what's cool. You guys came back and shared it with us, and now we get to look forward to seeing the videos and stuff like that, and that's just really cool. We're happy you guys had a good time, and you did really well. That's the greatest thing ever. You guys had an amazing trip, and we're glad you went, but we're even gladder that you're back.
If you guys want to be notified on those videos when they're going to put them out, you got to be a member of their YouTube channel. So Wandering Buffaloes, get on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and if you are interested in this place, we did do we'll have one video where it's footage of the actual camp so you know what to expect. And then we even interviewed them to get a little bit more to know about who this family is, what they want to do, their plans, why they're doing it. Pretty cool information.
Nice. Very cool. We'll be watching for that. Yeah, let us know when you get ready to release them and stuff, Shad, during the show, let people know what ones you guys are getting ready to drop and whatever, so we can all enjoy them with you guys. So, man, awesome. Very cool. And like I said, thanks, guys. And on that note, I guess we'll just go ahead and call it a night.
Hey, hang on a minute. I got some stuff to say, man.
You do? Well, you always got stuff to
do.
say.
I know, 'cause I like to talk sometimes.
What you got?
Anyway, just for the old West Coast Wednesday thing here, I've had a lot of people getting on me on my YouTube and asking me about videos. I am currently, right now, not making any videos because, well, it's hot. But I'm going to start making some other videos because this year I think I'm going to do until October. I'm going to do a little catfishing. So I might make some catfishing videos and just call it Swiftwater's Adventures instead of In the Goldfields.
Yeah.
And so keep your eyes out on that. And another thing is Shannon Poe of Amara, AMRA. Everybody knows who they are.
Thank you.
He is actually doing the Walk for Liberty. And if you guys want to follow him on that, man, get on Facebook. They've been posting stuff, Shannon and all the guys, they're walking all the way down through California. They're getting actually a pretty good response from the people in towns that they're going through. So, man, follow those guys and, keep up on what they're doing. Like I said, Walk for Liberty on Facebook, or if you're a friend of Shannon's Facebook, that's another thing. I'm not going to say his name over the air, but, just keep up on it, and you guys got to keep with him.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Good. I'm glad you mentioned that, Scott. Yeah, I know Shannon was, I don't know if he was going to call in tonight, but I'm sure he was exhausted. Maybe we'll hear from him Sunday. He can let us know how that's been going.
Yeah, I mean, he was talking about on one of the posts today that his friend, and like I said, I don't mention names because I don't want to, but his friend got on Facebook jail, and they said they didn't know what for, and he figured it was just because they were posting, a Walk for Liberty and this and that, which we all know that Facebook, Google, YouTube, it's all going crazy right now, and they're doing weird stuff to people that shouldn't be doing weird stuff too. But yeah, like I said, if you want to follow him, it's on Facebook, Walk for Liberty. You can get on that page, or if you're already a friend of Shannon's, it's a good another way to get on there. Or I've been posting it on my page too. If you're a friend of mine, I don't know, but yeah, just keep up, keep up.
Yeah, definitely. Make sure you do. And thanks for mentioning that, Scott. Good job. So you did actually have something to say.
I wasn't just going to talk.
All right, are you done now?
Yeah, you're good.
All right, good.
Let's wrap this baby up.
All right, let's go ahead and wrap it up. Don't forget to join us Sunday. We'll be here, as always, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time, right here on Prospector Radio. Until then, have a great week, everybody. Kathleen, take us out of here.
Good night, Gold Diggers.
Good night, everybody.
Be sure to tune in next Sunday at 7:30 for another great show. For updates and more info, please go to www.prospectorsradio.com.